Good evening, everyone. System Chalk here with, I believe, the 16th episode of the Apostle Obsonate playthrough, playing the character Ike Upscribe, who is the disciple of a previous character we played, Paul Samuelson. I neglected, because of the laundry and my rushing last week, to wish you all a Happy New Year, so please accept my belated well wishes for the new year. I hope it started on the right foot for you. It's been wonderful for me. I've really appreciated a lot of the very kind comments that you write for Cultist Simulator and the other videos as well. I really appreciate them. It has helped me feel a bit better at times when I'm not feeling like God's gift to broadcasting, and I just want to take a minute and say that I appreciate that. For those of you who are interested in the series and have not done so already, I'd love it if you would hit subscribe and possibly the notification bell beside it if you'd like to get updated on the stream. And as always, you can feel free to add a like or dislike if it didn't work for you. I do try to read and follow up on everything. Now, in the last broadcast, we were trying to break out of sort of the poverty that we were finding ourselves in, and one of the ways that we did that was by leveraging our mystique. And the last time we did a painting, we actually wound up with some more. So what we're going to try and do, I'm going to put myself up one rung, and I'm going to take the money that I earned. I'm actually going to buy a book from Morelands just so I can make some better use of the study verb. In 3 seconds, or 4 seconds rather, we're also going to be getting another health, and more importantly, we're going to be getting the higher level of physicality. It actually occurred to me that there's one higher level as well, which we may want to head down. But what this is going to allow me to do is I'm going to be able to work the physical labor quite a bit faster as I continue to upgrade this. So in addition to the health, it's not a bad idea to keep moving this up if you're someone like me who's not trying to pursue Glover and Glover that high. And some of this is just character-based. It may be worth mentioning, I know that this game, if it's not out on Switch, it will be getting a Switch release somewhat soon. So for those of you who are maybe new to this game, I'm actually playing the New Game Plus version. This is a little bit more complicated and difficult than the base game. I still encourage you to watch and enjoy, of course. But some of the things that I'm doing are specific character-driven reasons. So I haven't killed anyone, for instance. And we'll see if there's some interesting decisions that come down the road later, but this isn't necessarily the best way to play the game. It's just the way I'm playing this particular one, and I'm interested in seeing how this story turns out. But I am sort of babbling on a little bit. There are some obvious steps that we need to do. I'm not going to be able to do anything with the work verb within 34 seconds, so let's head to Glover and Glover and clock in our hours. We've got Clovette. She's on her way to becoming a disciple, which will mean, I believe, we have a disciple for each of the principals, which is good. I will also consider adding some more bodies, maybe once we get that fourth mystique. So that'll either come through a painting or that will come through adding more people into the cult. But at this point, I really should start upgrading and otherwise bringing people into the cult. For instance, Rhaenyra can be a new Cyprian. In fact, I should also turn Saliba into a Cyprian at some point. I'm really behind on my upgrades. And then, of course, eventually we will get to a point where we have enough money to be able to start going on expeditions again. But I'd like to be a little bit more secure than what I have right now for fun. So we'll unpause. It looks like we still don't know what the Long's plans are yet. Exercise the body stronger yet. I could carry a man across a river now, or strangle him. So with the steely physique, I believe if we add 4 lessons learned, we will be able to go one step further. But of course, we're not there yet. So in the meantime, I'm going to preserve the vitality that I've got, and I may actually wind up studying my health over time. I still need to figure out what I want to do with that, but we now know that we're going to have a season of sickness coming up, so it may not be a bad idea for me to preserve one of the vitality to move up. The fact that we're raising Clovette into a disciple may generate another health for us, and one of the things I can do to try and maybe push that in my favor is to try and use Clovette in as many actions that require one of my followers to do something. Now, I did say that I was going to go to more. Oh, hang on. So let me think for a second. I'm going to take one of my vitality and use it to clear an affliction. So I think I can afford to go to Moreland's for a shop. It takes time to sort the gold from the... Moreland's, by the way, is the dim premises of Miss Moreland, who deals in rare and sometimes dangerous books. It takes time to sort the gold from the dross, the wheat from the chaff, the blood from the water. If I buy enough books, I'll find something interesting. So that's 30 seconds that'll be occupied, and then what we can do is we can use the explore verb for some other tasks. We've got another furtive truth, a detail smuggled in from an adjacent narrative. Don't speak where this may be overheard. And many of the dead enter the mantis through the white door. They wander its corridors in silence until they are lost. Some embrace each other, some devour each other, and some force their way into the dreams of the living. A few record their memories on the mantis stone where it is soft. They scratch it with their nails, you see. Last night, I read one of those memories. So this has just been part of our pursuit of furtive truths. I actually don't recall where the expeditions end, but I've just kind of been collecting as many as I can. And we have enough health now that I can sort of afford to keep going through the white door. Now again, it's worth remembering that each time I use one of these healths, every time you sort of invoke the aspect of heart, the principle of heart, there is the possibility that you generate a random event which will give you a little bit more heart, or will give you the vitality. And because I'm going to be having a sickness in addition to wanting to raise my steely physique to the highest level, those are two big reasons why I would want to be throwing as many hearts around, even if there are better options in terms of other activities I could be doing. All right, in pain we are born, in hunger we are embraced, in delight we are devoured. These are the gates of the body, and this is her promise. Not all that is born decays. In remembrance of that promise, we give ourselves to the feast. So Clovette is now a disciple. Clovette's optimism is daunting. She wields her joy like a hammer. Now, for the talk verb, there's a couple things that I can do here. I could try and upgrade some of my existing people to disciples, or bring them into the cult, as is the case with Enid and Rhaenyra. But what I'm going to do, first of all, is I'm going to generate another mystique through potential mystique through talking about the occult. So talking publicly about the invisible arts will attract attention. Perhaps that's what I wanted. The reason I want to do this is so that I can have 4 mystique that I can use for my painting, which will raise the potential value for it. I'm essentially making a painting based on my reputation as opposed to my skill. This will eventually lower the value of the painting verb, but it's, in this case, I'm trying to generate money, and at this point, I do want to start banking on my reputation a little bit. I also want to be done with Glover and Glover. All right, we've got a collection of poetry. Now, this isn't exactly the sort of thing that I was hoping to get out of Glover and Glover. This is nice because it gives us sort of a lesson learned right out the gate, but it is a little disappointing that I didn't get something that I'd be able to study. So this is not very helpful to me until I want to upgrade my fevered imagination. However, I do need 4 lessons learned, so being able to keep some poetry in the back pocket is nice. I might even just wait to collect a few more of those, so I can just sort of pop them all at once and take it where I need to go. Now for exploration, let's take our furtive truth again. Odd nooks remain in the quiet countryside here and there for those who know where to look. I do eventually need to deal with a delightful blood, but that'll be for the next step. The clerks file out in silence. I am free for now, so we've at least covered the rent. So I've got 2 options. I could use my steely physique to do a quick job, but I want to see whether or not I can get away with using my 3 mystique to generate even more. You never know, this might be a living. Now, I'm going to make a very specific decision not to put any money towards making this painting. So it's possible that we lose the time, but we've covered rent, so we should be okay-ish. Ah yes, now I do need an inspiration still. So I don't think I can use my health as an inspiration. I didn't think this through fully, but I can use Clovette, and of course Clovette has heart, which means the potential for generating a spare vitality. I do, however, what I did fail to account for was where I'm going to get my next vitality from. So we've exercised the body, but I haven't thought about the next step. So I'm just going to study with my health. So it's going to take 55 seconds for this to turn into an affliction. It's going to take 60 seconds of fresh air and exercise to generate a vitality, and I'll be able to use that vitality to clear out the negative effects. So yeah, instead of painting, I probably should have done the physical labor, but I'm committed to my decision now. Now, I don't want restlessness because I'm not going to be able to paint it away in time. Well, I could actually switch out Clovette, but I do want to try and angle things towards towards heart. Now, restlessness, it's worth mentioning, does have heart, but Grail will potentially generate glimmering, Lantern will potentially generate erudition. So Moth can generate old and happy far off things, which will, I think, generates another restlessness. So needless to say, this is a little bit more of a risk than I want to take. Now, the Orchard of Lights and the Lodge of the Sage Knight both can generate fascination as well. I'll go back to the Lodge of the Sage Knight. I've been pushing on this kind of hard, but it's kind of a coin toss right now. I know I don't want the restlessness, so even if I wind up with a fascination, we do have some ways of tranquilizing the fascination in the worst case scenario. Okay. Subtle Fracture would have been very helpful, but we unfortunately don't have any rituals yet. That's kind of been a blunder on my part. We have been making progress. It sometimes seems in these 20-minute episodes that there's not a lot of progress that's getting made, but if you notice, the level of the the level of our cult right now has been going up. So we've got a lot of high-value cult members. We've got a lot of places that we're going to be able to explore. And more importantly, once we start exploring those places, the notoriety is going to allow us to do even more painting, which will allow us to generate even more money. So in this case, it almost turns into a little bit of a flywheel. As long as I've got a decent way of handling the evidence that will be coming as a result of all of my nefarious deeds, I should feel generally okay. But it's important to make sure that you've kind of got all your ducks in a row. And I will say that except for the Exile, which was the most recent DLC released for this game, the game does tend to encourage a bit of a cautious play. So for those of you who are maybe newer to the game, this is kind of how I play it. I am a little bit risk averse inside of the game, but once the long comes on the table, you'll see why being cautious will pay off. So anyways, we've got a subtle fracture. Clouds part, walls creak, old wounds ache. Sixth order influence, significant resonances, or correspondences. This can be used in some rites to summon minions. Now again, we don't have any minions to summon because we don't have any ritual. Well, we have minions to summon, but no means of summoning them. So we'll just set the subtle fracture off to the side and let that decay on its own. Last night, in the great pavilion above the grey sprawl of the Bounds, a woman who once called herself Teresa Gallmer sat on gilt-fringed cushions and offered me a horn cup of dream wine. The wine is imaginary, she explained, but the cup is not. To navigate the Mansis, one must understand the distinction. Perhaps one day you'll join me on the pilgrimage, or I'll join you. So here, let us share a secret. And her breath tickled my ear. Now, I have 52 seconds before I'm going to be able to deal with the disease, which to me seems like a reasonable enough time to go back through the white door. It's also possible we'll generate some vitality out of going through there again, so overall I think this is worth the risk. Colors of the Night, I could spend money on better paints, or perhaps I could find more exotic pigments. We can't afford it anyway, but in this case I'm trying to generate money, so I don't really want to spend the money on the paints quite yet. I have not shirked. This place merits closer investigation, so we've got Crocus Hill. And we will take the Furtive Truth yet again. Odd nooks remain in the quiet countryside here and there for those who know where to look. And this may be the last location in the Shire that we need. This is work I can be proud of. With enough publicity, it will sell. Alright, so we only got 1 funds out of that and no vitality, so it's a little bit of a bust. In this case, it would have been better for us to... it actually would have been better for us to go and work the day's labor, because then we would have avoided the cost of... sorry, we would have avoided the cost of curing our disease. But for the meantime, we got to go back to Glover and Glover. At some point, I got to be careful with my exploration. If I don't do something with the delightful blood on the next tick, that's going to become a problem. The illness has damaged my health. I'll need to rest before I'm fully recovered. So we're waiting the 4 seconds for our vitality and then the 10 seconds for the dream. Now, I actually forgot to check in on this, but as it turns out, it is a respite, so our enemy will not move against us this time. They will rest, and perhaps in resting they will grow stronger. Our immortal enemy has allies and resources in many nations. They move slowly, but as time passes, they will bring more and more of those allies and resources to bear against us. I misplaced that. So it's not universally bad, but this might be something that comes back to bite me a little bit later. I've neglected my studies, but I stand a little straighter, so good news for the health. This is going to be the vitality that I put towards curing the affliction. You notice I'm moving the cards closer to the verbs just so I stop making silly mistakes. And I suppose the last question is, what do I want to do with the study verb right now? So one answer would be, well, why don't I just generate another vitality? And the reason why I wouldn't want to do that is if I want to take my steely physique and turn that into another vitality from working. Of course, there may also be the argument that says maybe I don't want to do that. Maybe I would like to use my skill, fevered imagination, put a couple more passion into that, and get rid of the staleness. Which is actually, it's probably going to be what I do, so I am going to take fresh air and exercise. I still have enough time to be able to combine this glimmering into a lesson learned. Oh, I don't have enough for that one, so there was a bit of a blunder there. And we know we don't want the icy atmosphere. Let's go to the Orchard of Lights this time. And an intensity of radiance. Now, I'm going to need to get rid of this because it is this is going to turn into fascination. So, light dews the skin and suffuses the air. The invisible arts, said Christopher Lopoli, is said to have remarked, are as profitable as macrame, as ethical as tobacco smuggling, and in general as beneficial as roulette. Still, there is always the Orchard of Lights, and indeed the orchard, with its glowing fruit and peaceful mist, is a place to be yearned for. Last night I walked there in the peaceful hours of the deep night. Even after waking, I still carry with me a little of the glory of the old sun. So I have some ideas about how I'm going to fix that. Let's deal with what we've got right now. So we've got another hanger-on. I really don't have much of a use for these guys, but that's life. So let's think for a minute about what we want to do with our talk verb. We do need to get rid of this lantern, and we do also need to turn Saliba into a higher level, Cyprian. So let's take the Order of the Bloody Cup, an occult society dedicated to the mysteries of the birth, blood, and appetite. Saliba's description currently is, Saliba's pleasures are taken in a room without windows. His companions return to him again and again, even though each time they are a little less. So we'll take the Anthic elaboration. Now we still need more Grail, and we should be able to... Oh my goodness, did I get rid of my... That's right, I don't believe I have... Ah, you know what? '21st intensity. I'm one short. And that's why I didn't raise them before. Because I'm short on... Drat. Okay. Well, with that in mind, let's... I'm just trying to think if there's somebody who I can turn into... Nope, there's no way that I can get a heart out of any of these improvements. So for now, let's bring in Rhaenyra. So Rhaenyra has been found not guilty 3 times in 3 separate jurisdictions. She will likely never be found guilty of anything. Sorry, for some reason I was under the impression that we had a Grail item. Mind you, it's not bad that I still have the Delightful Blood, because I would like to see what happens with Moorlands if I try and sell it again. So this one is ready. Oh, and I can use my Dream. So let's get that Vitality in there. Oh, and I'm out of time. I'm sorry. I got stuck in my own head about the next steps. So, I should just leave it on here. I would love to do a recap, but I try to keep these things at the 20-minute mark. So thank you very much for watching, and we will see you all next week as we continue our plans. I'll elaborate on those at the very start. Have a great evening.